one paw. He presses it into your forearm, once, and holds it there. You think you know what that means. You don't. The weight is deliberate, not accidental. The placement is chosen, not random. And the stillness afterward is the part most people miss entirely. You've felt it 100 times. On your arm while you work. On your chest while you sleep. On your leg the moment you sit down after a long day. Every time, you read it the same way. Affection. A quiet request for attention. Maybe a gentle way of saying, I'm here. But here's the thing, and it changes everything you thought you knew about your cat. That single paw, resting against your skin, is not just touching you. It is doing something far more precise, far more intentional, and far older than the bond you share. It is reading you. And at the same time, without you ever noticing, it is leaving something behind. This is the silent meaning behind a cat touching you with one paw. And once you understand it, you will never see that small gesture the same way again. Let's pause on that feeling for a moment, because it matters. You've just placed that paw on a pedestal of warmth, and that's not wrong. It's simply incomplete. The gesture you read as pure affection is actually a compound signal, a sentence folded into a single point of contact, and you've been hearing only the first word of it. Think about the last time it happened. Your cat walked across the room, circled once, and then, with a kind of ceremony, lowered one paw onto your arm. There was no rush, no frantic kneading, just a deliberate, weighted placement, as if the paw were settling into a specific, pre-chosen spot. That ceremony is the first clue you've been missing. Because here's what you didn't see. The paw that rests on you is not just a paw. It's an instrument, packed with nerve endings so dense that your cat can feel the vibration of your pulse through the fur and skin of your forearm. While you smile at the perceived affection, your cat is taking a reading. A heartbeat, a rhythm, a bass line. If you've ever sat perfectly still enjoying that small weight, you know the quiet contentment it brings. But the cat on your lap is not still in the same way you are. Through that one point of contact, she is monitoring you. She is feeling whether your heart is steady or racing, whether your muscles are relaxed or tense, whether the person she has chosen to trust is, in this moment, safe. Now here's the part that turns the whole scene on its head. You thought the paw was a receiver, a way of getting your attention, but it's also a transmitter. Nestled between those delicate toe beans are scent glands, tiny pads of tissue that release a chemical signature unique to your cat. A signature that is completely invisible to your nose, but unmistakable to hers. Every time she presses that paw into you, she is leaving a mark. Not a mark of ownership in the way you might think, but a marker of familiarity in a world that is mostly smell. That paw was doing two invisible things at once, reading your pulse and claiming you through a signature only she can smell. If that quietly rearranges what you thought was happening in your lap, subscribe so the next layer of silent meaning doesn't slip past you unnoticed. In the comments, tell me what you'll feel the next time she presses that paw into you. Type heartbeat if you'll feel the reading, or scent if you'll feel the claiming. That's the first layer of the silent meaning, and it's easy to feel it as a kind of secret. Your cat is not just touching you, she is claiming you. She is rubbing her chemical signature into your skin, weaving you into her map of the known and the safe. Every time she kneads your sweater, every time she presses that single paw into your leg, she is updating the file that says you are part of her territory. But to leave it there would be to fall into the same trap you've always fallen into. You'd be swapping one simple story for another, a story about scent instead of a story about love. And the real answer is stranger and more vulnerable than both. Let's peel back the next layer, the one that turns the paw from a stamp into a question. Consider what a question needs. It needs an answer, a response, a reply. That single paw resting on your skin is not a statement of ownership alone. It is an interrogation, a quiet one, conducted through the language of pressure and warmth. Your cat is not just marking you, she is listening for your reply. The reply is not verbal, of course. It is entirely physical. It is the steadiness of your breathing, the lack of tension in your shoulders, the slow, unguarded rhythm of your heart as you sit there, lost in a screen or a book. That is the answer you give without knowing you were ever asked. And your cat is fluent in it. Here is what nobody notices. The paw that presses into you is the same paw that, moments earlier, was testing the temperature of the floorboards, the give of the carpet, the stability of a windowsill. That pad is a precision instrument, built not for grasping but for gathering information. When it lands on you, it is reading the surface most important of all. Think about the restraint involved. Your cat possesses a set of tools that could easily scratch, that could press harder, that could demand. And yet the gesture is almost impossibly gentle. The claws are retracted. The pressure is calibrated. It is a deliberate choice to touch without harm, to connect without force. If you've ever wondered why the touch feels so intentional, so unlike the casual brush of a dog or the bump of a head, it is because this is an act of considered vulnerability. Every time you felt chosen, your cat was doing something far braver than asking for food. She was placing her most sensitive, most defenseless part against a creature many times her size. This is where the story of your cat, your quiet domestic companion, meets the story of her ancestors. Picture a small, solitary hunter, a creature that survived for millennia by trusting no one, by relying on its own senses, its own speed, its own silence. That lineage is written into every cell of your cat's body. It is the reason she sleeps so lightly, why she startles so fast. And into this ancient, self-reliant script, you have introduced a new variable: compassion, safety. You have become the one exception to the rule of solitude. That single paw, pressing into your arm, is her way of checking that the exception still holds, that the safety is still real. The touch is a whispered question across a species divide. It asks, with the only voice she has, whether you are still there, whether you are still the same person she fell asleep on yesterday. It is not a request for food. It is a request for confirmation. Are you safe? Are you mine? Are you still here? Now consider the response you give, the one you never knew was being heard. When you stay still, when you let the paw rest, you answer yes. When you gently stroke her, you answer yes. But when you move abruptly, when you shift away, when you scold her for startling you, you answer something else entirely. And she hears it through that one point of contact. That one point of contact is a question you are answering every time you stay still or pull away, and she feels your answer before you even know you have given it. Subscribe to keep tracing this hidden conversation with me, because the paw is only the first word. In the comments, leave the answer you want your cat to hear. I am here, I am safe, I am yours. Or share the moment you realized you had been answering no. The paw is a bridge to a hidden conversation. It is not the only one, but it is the most profound, because it is the only one where your cat chooses to make herself physically vulnerable to you. She is not sleeping near you out of convenience. She is choosing to expose her flank, her belly, her most unguarded self, to the one creature she has decided she can trust. This is the part that changes everything. The touch that claims you as territory is the same touch that makes her most vulnerable. In that single gesture, she is doing two things at once. She is saying you are safe, and she is asking you to prove it remains true. A paradox, but one that makes perfect sense in the language of a creature shaped by solitude. So the silent meaning begins to come into focus. It is not just affection. It is not just marking. It is a bond, but a bond of a very particular kind. It is a bond built on constant, quiet verification. A promise that is not spoken once, but renewed every time a paw finds its way to your skin. You have been trying to understand your cat, to decode her moods, her meows, her sudden sprints through the house. But she has been understanding you all along, updating her file on you with every heartbeat she feels through that small point of contact. She reads you better than you read yourself. Let me ask you something. When you see that paw reach for you, what is your first instinct? To hold still, to pet her, to assume she wants dinner? Each of those responses sends a different message through that quiet channel, and she hears the difference. She is not a simple creature asking for simple things. The paw tells a story of ancestral caution and domestic trust. It says, I remember a world where I could not afford to let anyone this close. It says, with every fiber of its being. But I have decided you are different. It is a miracle of trust enacted on your forearm every single day. You are not a passive recipient of your cat's affection. You are the variable in her lifelong equation of safety. She will continue to touch you, to press her paw into your skin, to ask her silent question. Now the question turns back to you. What will you do with the answer you now have the power to give? You are the variable in her lifelong equation of safety. She will continue to touch you, to press her paw into your skin, to ask her silent question. Now, the question turns back to you. What will you do with the answer you now have the power to give? Consider the weight of that paw one more time. It is not merely resting there, it is waiting. Every touch is a new vote, a fresh assessment, a re-evaluation of whether the world she has built around you still stands. You are being interviewed constantly, and you never even knew you were on the clock. And this is where the quiet power of your own response comes into focus. You have spent this entire time thinking you were the one doing the watching, the observing, the decoding. You bought the toys, you learned the meows, you researched the tail positions. But through that one small point of contact, she has been conducting a far more patient study of you. Think about the last time you were stressed. The deadlines, the arguments, the low hum of anxiety that follows you through the day. Now think about your cat. Did she press her paw into you then? Or did she keep her distance? Did she seek you out? Or did she watch you from across the room? Here is what the evidence shows. The touch is not constant. It is calibrated. It changes with your state. When you are calm, when your breathing is slow and your muscles are soft, the paw arrives more often. When you are a storm of cortisol and tension, she hesitates. She is not rejecting you. She is reading a weather system she cannot control. You are the weather, and she has learned to predict you better than any forecast. She knows the sound of your footsteps on the stairs, the creak of your chair when you are about to get up, the particular rhythm of your breathing when you are about to fall asleep. The paw is her confirmation that the forecast still holds. Now, here is a thought that might unsettle you, just a little. Every time you have felt that paw and assumed it was a simple request for food, you have been misreading her. And she knows. She has learned that sometimes, when she presses that paw, you get up and fill the bowl. And so she has learned to use that signal for a purpose it was never meant to serve. It is not manipulation. It is adaptation. She is a creature of survival, and she has discovered that this particular gesture, aimed at this particular human, at this particular time of day, tends to produce food. And so the signal, which began as something else entirely, has been recruited into a secondary function. But that does not make the original meaning any less real. It is still there, underneath the learned association. The need for contact, for verification, for the quiet confirmation that you are still her safe harbor. The food request is a veneer. The touch itself is the truth. Watch what happens next time. Watch the moment before the paw lands. Does she look at you first? Does she pause mid-step, weighing the distance? Does she choose a spot that is warm, or a spot that is bare skin? Those tiny decisions are the grammar of the sentence she is about to speak with her body. The next time that paw lands, you will already know there are two messages folded into the touch. The request she learned to use, and the quiet verification she has never stopped needing from you. Subscribe so you can keep learning the grammar of these gestures as the sequence continues, and so you do not miss the moment when the next signal appears. Then come to the comments and tell me the exact spot your cat presses with her paw, whether she pauses to look at you first, and if she chooses bare skin or covered cloth. That single detail is the first word of the sentence she has been trying to speak. The placement is never random. It is never the same spot twice in a row, not exactly. She is reading the surface of you, looking for the place where she can feel the most, where your pulse is closest to the skin, where the signal will be clearest. She is not just touching you, she is tuning in. And when she finds that spot, when the paw finally settles, there is a subtle shift in her posture. A release, a softening of the shoulders, a slow blink, a deep breath that you feel through the pads of her feet. That is the moment of confirmation, the moment she receives the answer she was seeking. The answer is you. The answer is your presence, your steadiness, your continued existence in the space she has claimed as safe. She is not asking for anything more than that. She is not asking for food or play or the door to be opened. She is asking for you to remain. This is the part most people never reach. They stop at affection, they stop at marking, they stop at the comfort of a warm weight on their lap. But if you go deeper, past the chemistry, past the survival wiring, past the learned associations, you arrive at something that looks remarkably like a choice. Every time she presses that paw into you, she is choosing proximity over solitude. She is choosing the vulnerability of contact over the safety of distance. For a creature whose entire evolutionary history is a lesson in self-reliance, that choice is not casual. It is, in its own quiet way, heroic. You have been the recipient of a daily act of courage, and you called it a cute quirk. You have been trusted with the most fragile signal in her entire behavioral repertoire, and you assumed it was about dinner. The revelation is not that she loves you. It is that she has been telling you so constantly, in a language you never learned to read. Now that you can read it, the world of your cat opens up in a way you could not have anticipated. The touch is not the only sentence. It is the key to the entire language. Once you understand what the paw is doing, you will start to see the same grammar everywhere, in the slow blink, in the headbutt, in the way she curls her tail around your ankle. It is all the same conversation, the same quiet, persistent, daily reaffirmation that you are safe, that you are hers, that the exception to the rule of solitude still holds. And now, the paw is resting on your arm again. The question is not whether you understand. The question is whether you will answer. Not with words. She does not need words. She needs you to stay still just for a moment. She needs you to let the weight rest, to let the warmth settle, to let your breathing slow to match hers. That silence, that stillness, is the most profound reply you can give. It is the answer that says, I am here. I am not going anywhere. And when you finally do move, when you reach down and gently stroke the fur between her ears, she will feel the shift. She will feel the confirmation travel through her entire body. And she will know, with the ancient certainty of her kind, that the trust she placed in you was not misplaced. That the answer to her silent question, repeated every day, is still yes.